it just makes your project more personal, right? I think even like a good example was the Joanna Gaines line of paint that I think was it Benjamin Moore had put out a little while ago. It was a curated palette of colors that she chose, and people felt like that was a more personal touch to her when doing a paint project in their home.
Welcome to Beyond the Blueprint, powered by Contractors, Closers, and Connections, Orlando. Join me for in-depth interviews with some of the top commercial real estate and development executives in the industry. We uncover their success stories, their strategies, and their lessons learned along the way. Gain valuable insight whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out. Beyond the Blueprint, we are back with part 2 with Tony at Tonster Paints. So we're going to get in a little bit into your entrepreneurial journey. So
Sure.
At Tonster, you came from Ohio, you were at Sherwin-Williams, moved down, worked at Florida Paints, built out Tonster Paints. Now you're starting your own, you've started your own brand. It's growing. Let's talk about that journey. Let's talk about, what as an entrepreneur you've seen in the early stages of entrepreneurship. So as you first launched Tonster, let's talk about Tonster. Why Tonster?
The name originated from the TikTok channel. Tonster was the nickname that I had going all through school for my friends. So I was just always kind of referred to as Tonster, play off Tony.
Yeah.
And, it's a super unique name, I guess, in the element of a brand. I mean, there's not another brand out there named Tonster. And that was kind of just the avenue that I took. I just played it off the channel that I already had and just developed the brand out of it.
And tone, like paint tones, and like there's a good...
Oh, man. I shouldn't give out my ideas on... without doing it, but tone does play a big part into like the element of color, like different color tones. So it does play well together. There's a human element, the name of a person, along with the tone of different colors. That was not on purpose.
Yeah, right.
That was
very organic.
Yeah,
for sure. So let's talk about entrepreneurship. So what's something that you've experienced very early on that you did not expect?
Ooh. Early on. So I guess where everything kind of began on the entrepreneurial side of things was when I originally partnered with Florida Paints, right? We were partnered in together with a few executives that were at Florida Paints for the first year or so. And they kind of just let me do my thing, right? I was partnered in with them and they kind of gave me free reign to develop the channel and everything like that. And as time went on, at first sales were slow, man. Like, we were talking about that content shift from entertainment to like now how-to and inspirational brand element content. Sure. It was slow. So I think like the first year we did like $6,000 in sales over a year, which is like not a lot. But I was also still working at Florida Paints in their paint store as a full-time store associate. That's actually how you and I met.
Yeah.
So the first year was definitely slow. So with those same people I was partnered in with at Florida Paints, we eventually broke off. They let me kind of have the entire business to myself. Now, I wouldn't say a lack of communication. It was just kind of different ideas for the brand itself. And, Florida Paints is obviously a very, very successful business here in Florida. So they have a bunch of projects going on. So it came to a point where they just kind of let me have the business. And then a few months after that, that's when things really took off. After that, I think like there was 1 month where I go back to like, you just have to have that one video pop. I did a video about like my most popular color, which at the time was Storms in Paris. This real deep, rich green color, right? Beautiful color. I actually made that color back when I was in Ohio. And I just brought it down here. But for some reason, I kind of just described the color, why it was popular, how it's beneficial for your home. And I think that month we did like 40 grand in sales from just one video. And then from there, everything kind of started setting itself into place.
So how do you pick your names for your colors?
Ooh, a few beers. Not even joking.
Yeah. This seems good.
A lot of inspiration from music, different artists, different pieces of art across, history. Just taking whatever I think is very unique, organic, and cool, and kind of making my own play off of that with like different color names and also the style of the color as well.
Right. That's awesome. So your entrepreneurship journey. So you kind of doing your own thing.
Yeah.
You go 40 grand after this video pops, then what does that look like? Like, is it just you? Are you starting to think about employees? Like, how does that work?
No, it was just me, man. I was still at the Florida Paints shop in like a little back corner of their warehouse, still making my paint. I eventually left the company just because things at Tonester would take, it was exploding, right? Like I had no time to work another full-time job. I knew now this was going to be my full-time thing. And I knew it wanted to be my full-time thing. I just needed that chance and that jump that eventually happened to take that opportunity. For the first year after that, it was just me mixing the orders, still doing the content. We were pacing around after that jump. We were pacing around, like, I think it dropped to like maybe like 10 grand a month. But it was still good though. It was still sustainable.
It was more than 6 the year before.
Exactly, right. And this is the point where
the green.
This is the point where people started to recognize this is an actual product, a brand, and a company that I can buy paint from. Right. And now I was really playing off that and taking that same approach from that one video and continuing it through the rest of everything. So for the first year, it was just me mixing the paint, sending the orders, doing all the logistics, the operations, everything that's involved,
in your corner at Florida Paints.
In my little corner at Florida Paints, ordering, simple as ordering shipping supplies, ordering paint from Florida Paints, their base product, which I was still using, doing all the operational things, still making my content. So for the first year, it was like that. Now we're into 2023. So that was like about a year from last April. Yeah. Started making hires. I got into my own space downtown, not downtown, on Mills and Colonial. Yeah, a little bit outside. Got into my own shop. It was a little 600 square foot office. It was still all that I could really afford because commercial real estate down here is not cheap. It is not cheap. So at the time, that was all I needed, man. It was just a little space, still doing my thing, still making my content, and all that kind of stuff. And then you get into the money side of things. Like, where's the money coming from? Obviously, $10,000 a month from product sales is not sustainable for a business, right? Still trying to figure things out. So I actually landed a few big sponsorship deals through Goldman Sachs.
Oh, nice.
And Adobe, which essentially funded the growth of my business to where it is now.
How did you get those sponsorships?
It was agencies had reached out to me. I guess they were fans of the content and the story, and they just kind of reached out to me themselves.
Right. And what's that sponsorship look like with them?
It's been about a year-long sponsorship. Between both of them, we accumulated about. There were some other small ones in there, like we did Sheraton Hotels. We did, I said, Adobe, T-Mobile. It probably equated to about $200,000 in sponsorship money.
Nice.
So that is what has fueled the growth of the business, what it is now. And we're now doing about $50,000 a month in sales. Just through, now we're getting into paid ads, right? What I really do for that is just boost and promote the content that I already make organically, right? So that's been a huge increase in the business and the sales volume too. I've hired one part-time employee who's in there about 30 hours a week just doing shipping and operations, letting me take care of sales, content marketing, that sort of stuff. So that's kind of the situation that we are now in.
Right.
In this whole process has only been like 2 years.
Right.
which is crazy.
Right.
So
I mean, it's been a very high pace trajectory.
It has, man. It's been a lot over the past 2 years, and I can't believe it's only been 2 years. So yeah, that's kind of like where we've put ourselves at today through the journey.
Today's episode is brought to you by Bryce Knuth of Insurance Office of America. As a contractor or real estate owner in Florida, you've likely experienced the impact of rising insurance premiums year after year. With the challenging insurance marketplace, having a specialist who focuses on your industry is critical now more than ever before. If you'd like a second set of eyes on your current insurance program or don't have a relationship with your current broker, please contact Bryce Knuth at 407-697-6944 via call or text, or email bryce.knuth@ioausa.com. Don't let rising insurance costs catch you off guard. Reach out to Bryce today. And so what does the next 5 years look like for you?
Next 5 years. So the next 5 years of this whole thing, I envision, I really want to partner with high-end interior designers, right? Work on really custom projects. And, I feel like for clientele who are doing those custom projects, the idea of custom colors and being different from the next guy is going to be really beneficial in our favor. We already kind of do that anyways. We work with a few people out in Tampa for custom built homes, residential homes. We really want to get into like more boutique retailers. We don't want to go into Home Depot, Lowe's, any of the big box stores. I don't think that's really on pace for our brand. We want to keep things more boutique, that human element.
Right. I would agree to that.
More custom. So
Yeah.
we don't want to commercialize anything.
Yeah.
Over the next year or so, we're probably going to look to taking on some VC to kind of build out that D2C process online.
Sure.
It's pretty good right now. We have a Shopify store. It's been super easy for customers to, get to the website after seeing the content, that the colors they like, and ordering it and us shipping to them. But we really want to build it out to be more of you can always make a user experience better, right?
Right.
I guess maybe make the process more streamlined.
Sure.
Get the product to them quicker. Those sort of elements are kind of what we're looking for over the next 5 years.
Right. Because, your content, you're making the color in a can of paint, but if somebody orders 30 cans of paint, you're not shooting content for all 30 of those,
Exactly.
So it would be beneficial to, streamline that process and get things moving.
And really the big area that we're going to be looking at is just expanding the team. Right now it's myself and my one employee. I would like to have a full operational team to just take care of orders and shipping at all times. We also, the store or the shop that I mentioned earlier, we're building that out to be more of a retail setting for folks in Orlando to pick up locally or come in and shop and look at colors. Just kind of giving it that more boutique shop feel.
Sure.
So we're getting into the more retail section of things for people in Orlando specifically.
Right. And that retail boutique, even staying out of the Home Depot and the Lowe's, I think, again, just to your point, I think it fits the brand and kind of what you're targeting.
Exactly,
after,
yeah.
For sure.
So, yeah, we want to keep things, I guess, not exclusive, but we want it to be going back to the human element and keeping things more personal. We don't want Joe Schmo over there at Home Depot tinting your paint. We want, either myself or a trained Tonester employee who's developed these colors, making it for you to be included in your project.
Right. So you're obviously seeing success in having that human element.
Yeah.
So why do you think that that's changing over time? Because I do believe that this industrial commercialized complex is starting to shift a little bit and people are wanting more of a human touch, more of why do you think that is? And what made you know that that's what you wanted to do instead of being commercialized?
It just makes your project more personal, right? I think even a good example was the Joanna Gaines line of paint that I think was it Benjamin Moore had put out a little while ago. It was a curated palette of colors that she chose, and people felt like that was a more personal touch to her when doing a paint project in their home. People are really just looking for that human element, man. I think a lot of Gen Z and millennials who are now becoming purchasers of paint and homes themselves, they want to support local business. They want to support another human being, not a big giant corporate machine who's just taking your money. It's a revolving door, right?
Why do you think that is?
I'm not 100% sure, man. I know I'm kind of like that too. You see that a lot in the Orlando community. Everyone is down to support local business,
right?
Big time. I think with social media, I actually was talking to someone about this recently. Social media is kind of becoming a window for people to actually talk about their experiences at these big corporate machines. It's kind of distasteful, like I said, the ideas have to come from the right people for things to move forward. A lot of, negativity. And I think a lot of people our age too, don't even really want to work for corporate America. So why go and support them? People our age want to start their own businesses and do something that they're passionate about.
Right. I think there's an element too, to your point of people our age wanting to start new businesses. It's like if people our age want to start their own businesses, whether it's a small business, whatever, rather than working from corporate America, I would feel like naturally they would also want to support the same thing that they're trying to do.
It's the same exact thing. You're absolutely right.
Right. So let's kind of tie it up in a bow. So in this crazy 2 years of growth, what in your entrepreneurship journey would you say has been the most rewarding?
I would say the simple fact that I get to work for myself every day. I always say that every day I am on vacation, even though I work 7 to 7 every day, 12
Right.
hours a day. I still do. I've been doing it for the past 2 years. But I really do. I would rather be doing this every day than doing a 9 to 5 for a job I'm not really passionate about and don't really like, with people I don't really like working with ideologies I don't really align with either. That would be the most rewarding thing by a mile.
What would you say to someone who is thinking about that and maybe is working in corporate America? How would you kind of advise them to maybe choose a different route or?
Well, I always say there's a balance scale, right? It's when I started, I was obviously working at Florida Paints full time and doing the Toaster thing, another 8 hours a day after I got off my shift, like I said, doing orders, creating new content. So it's going to be a solid, 16-hour work day if you really want to do the entrepreneurship route, because you still have to have money to support yourself, your home,
Sure.
your family. By doing your 9 to 5 job, the entrepreneurship thing doesn't happen overnight. The money doesn't come in overnight, but it's a scale, right? So as things, start tipping and the business starts growing more and the entrepreneurship starts growing, you start getting money from that. And then eventually the scale tips to where you're getting more money from that than working your 9 to 5. And then that's when you make the jump and do your own thing.
Right. I tell people all the time, like, I applaud you for wanting to do your own thing. I think that entrepreneurship is a great journey, but I think a lot of times people don't understand how difficult it is and how long it does take.
Yeah.
And some people are like, "Oh, I'm just going to quit my job and I'm going to start my own thing." It's like, how are you going to get
It's a terrible
clients?
idea.
Yeah, right. You have a business plan. Do you even have a name? Do you got there's all these things that need to be set up just to start. And then you've got to build this traction once you've started because, especially if you're married and you got families at home, you got kids you got to feed, you got a house you got to provide for. I mean, there's a lot of things at play, and this entrepreneurship journey isn't just going to happen, in a blink of an eye.
It's the exact same thing, man. I know. Luckily for me, I was down here solo, no girlfriend, kids, no
Right.
dog or cat,
Right.
nothing. So that really allowed me to put myself into the position to really focus on Toaster and grow that, because it was something I was genuinely passionate about. I don't think that entrepreneurship really happens without a genuine passion
Right.
for what you're doing either.
Right.
You just want something that's going to make you a bunch of money and work for yourself. I don't really think it works like that. You have to have a bigger vision and goal in mind past that.
Right.
But I guess once you figure out what that goal is, what you're passionate about, you don't mind doing it another 8 hours a day after you just got off your 9 to 5 shift. I think from there is the real path for entrepreneurship these days.
Sure.
100%.
I would agree. Simon Sinek, he has a great book. It's Start With Why, right? And I explain this to, people within my family or even friends groups, of that, you've got to have, like, money can't be your why.
Mm-mm.
Because money's going to come, money's going to go. It's going to, you're going to make a lot of money, you're going to lose a lot of money. I mean,
Yep.
entrepreneurship in any business is very risky. And that why, that passion behind what you're doing, is what helps you sustain those highs and lows. And so I think it's super, super important to have that, because that why is also that thing that at 5 o'clock when you get off your corporate job, that makes you want to work an extra 3 hours.
I don't think it doesn't happen without the why.
Correct.
It really doesn't.
Right.
I don't think anyone's motivated by just money enough to go do another 8-hour shift after they just got off.
Right.
I don't think that's even a real thing.
Right. Unless they're like gambling or
Yeah,
something.
exactly.
So we'll wrap this up, man. I really appreciate your time.
Hey, no problem, man. Thank you. I appreciate it.
So it's been a pleasure. You know as well as I've been, your fan, seeing you on social media, having you at some of these events. I think it's really cool. Actually, I was telling my wife, she was looking at your Instagram because she's like, "Who are you interviewing today?" And she's starting to paint some furniture. And she's going to start painting some stuff in her house. I was like, I'll do an introduction to you, and maybe y'all can figure out a cool paint color. Or
Hey,
something.
absolutely, man. If you guys want to come over to the shop too, you're right around the corner.
Yeah, we could do that for sure, man. So it's been a pleasure. Beyond the Blueprint. If you liked the stuff that Tony's doing, we'll be sure to share more content of what he's doing and some of his cool videos. Make sure you like and subscribe to the video and the channel. We'll see you next time.